Yeah, all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakal Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds preaching the truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to the sister Akwaf, listen in silence. This your brother Aram Yahweh with the lesson. Hey, let's get to it.
The radar this morning. Well, the New York Times yesterday published an explosive revelation reporting that a main financier of the assassination of the Haitian president only got involved in the operation because he was reliably informed that it had the support of the United States. But you probably didn't hear anything about that because, well, it's Haiti, but also because the Times buried it in paragraph, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep going, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, keep going, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, keep going, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 20, skip, keep going, 26, 27, 28, keep going, keep going. Yep, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep going, keep going. You can go back and count yourself if I lost count. 29, there it is. Okay, stop on that one. Paragraph 29, here it is. He said he agreed to join the conspiracy because he was told by Mr. Badiou and other plotters that it had the full support of the United States, which, according to them, was getting nervous about the president's supposed links to terrorists and drug traffickers. Quote, if the U.S. government was involved, then it was safe, said Mr. Jar, outlining his thinking at the time. So that's awfully big news for the New York Times to find fit to print. It's also not at all out of the question. In September, the prosecutor assigned to investigate the assassination announced that the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, had multiple phone calls with Joseph Felix Badiou not long after the assassination. Badiou is a former Haitian government official alleged to have overseen the operation. Henry responded to the prosecutor's claims by ordering the man's boss to fire him. When he refused, Henry fired them both. In the wake of that purge, and the news that he was suspected in the assassination himself, the United States stood by Henry, even though he had basically no legal claim to actually run Haiti. After the U.S. stood by Henry, even after the firing of the prosecutor, the U.S. envoy to Haiti, Daniel Foote, resigned in protest in late September, saying, the hubris that makes us believe we should pick the winner again is impressive. This cycle of international political interventions in Haiti has consistently produced catastrophic results. Now, we also know that multiple Americans were involved in the plot, including an American-based security company that helped bring Colombian mercenaries in. Mercenaries that, by the way, had previously been trained by the United States. So to recap, Haitian prosecutors had already recommended Henry be charged, and the Times found and interviewed the alleged financier of the operation, Rodolphe Jarre, and he said that the organizers of the plot all claimed to have U.S. support. And the Times ran the claim in print, but buried it as far down as possible, giving the story a headline that made it seem like a rehash of the September news. This is one of the best examples I've seen of the paradox of the New York Times. Many of the reporters who work there are among the most talented in the world. I mean, check out how the Times reporter in Port-au-Prince, Anatoly Karmaniov, got this interview. Quote, in an extensive interview with the New York Times at an empty construction site while he was on the run from authorities, Rodolphe Jarre, a Haitian businessman and former drug trafficker, admitted helping finance and plan the plot. Shortly before the assassination, Mr. Jarre said Mr. Badiou told him that Mr. Henry would serve as a useful ally after the president was overthrown. Quote, he is my good friend. I have full control of him, Mr. Jarre recounted. He is my good friend. I have full control of him, Mr. Jarre recounted, Mr. Badiou telling him when Mr. Henry, a 72-year-old neurosurgeon, was named prime minister. Now that's dogged and courageous journalism. He got the goods, and the goods wound up in paragraph 29. While the top of the story rehashed details that had already been reported in September. Jar, however, is no longer in hiding. On Friday, he was arrested at the request of the United States in the Dominican Republic, according to multiple news reports, including the Times and Miami Herald. And Jar, it turns out, is a former DEA informant. The Times ended its story with one more intriguing detail. Quote, but minutes after the murder, Mr. Jar said he received a phone call from Herman Rivera, the leader of the Colombian mercenaries. Quote, the rat is down, Mr. Jar said, Mr. Rivera told him, using a derogatory code name the plotters used for Haiti's leader. The president is dead. Now, Herman Rivera, that's an interesting name. Where have we heard that one before? Ah, yes. Rivera is one of the Colombians who entered Bolivia just before the country's presidential election as part of an alleged plot by the outgoing right-wing defense minister to bring in mercenaries to assassinate then-candidate, now Bolivian President Luis Arce.
Yeah, so that's nothing new for America to set up a president in basically in a coup, to basically have a person in the office that sits their purpose. See, watch, you know what I mean? This is Jeremiah chapter 37, verse 1. And King Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, reigned instead of Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, right? Because Jehoiakim was set up by the Lord, right? Which is a descendant of David. Because the Lord promised that it will always be a descendant of David, always forever, to sit on the throne of Israel. Right? And Josiah's descendant, Coniah, should have been on that throne. But what happened? It was someone else's son. Right? Whom what? Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, made king in the land of Judah, right? So he set someone completely up to be a different king, like, or a president, or basically the same thing. So those are the things that they have done. Like they were trying to do in Venezuela, trying to set up that other guy to be a president. So, and not have the people have the guy that the people have voted for, who's actual a Venezuelan, who actually has their best interest in mind, right? Because he's not part of their agenda, right? So that's the things they've always done. That's the reason why the Lord calls them the daughter of Babylon. Right? Yeah. To let you know that, because of those things be set up. So I'm coming here, just like Bible Hub, right? So it says English Standard Version, and over them 3 high offices, right? And then what do they call the president thing? Office, right? Go to the next one. It says, and over them 3 administrators, right? They call it what? The administration of a president, right? King James Version. And over them 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give an accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage, right? Basically, damage control. Set him up as a president, damage control, have everything the way you want it. You have a person in there to sway things your way, the way you want to have it beneficial, which they've already robbed a lot from Haiti. That's why the little girl, there was a video of a little girl, and the white man rolled up and he said, she looked at him and said, are you coming to steal from us too? You know what I mean? So these are the things that continue to go on with you Israelites, man. Venezuela, right, with your Israelites. Haiti, with your Israelites. These are the things they're doing. It trying to set up their own presidents within who you are. And this is things that they've been doing, right? Nothing new under the sun. Yeah. So like this right here. Herod was born in southern Palestine. His father, Antipater, was an Edomite, which you are who your father is. He's an Edomite. Shemitic people, which is supposed to be Shummetic, Shum, right? And there's more than one Shemitic people, right? They call it, what do those do? They call it anti Semitism or whatever they want to call it. When there's a lot of people that comes out of Shum, right? The so-called Ishmaelites or Shum, you know, Moab, Ammon, with Shemites, which are so-called Chinese, the Japanese. Those are Shemitic people, right? Then you got Edom, right, which is Shemitic people, and then you got Israel, which is Shemitic people, right? Which is us, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. We're Shemitic people. We come from Israel, right? But this is all sorts of confusion. Shemitic people identified by some scholars as Arabs, right? Which they say Arab just means a mixture, or yeah, like mixture, like mingled, like the mingled people, like the scriptures talk about them and the mingled people, just Arab. It's a generic statement. Who converted to Judaism, which that's made up too, Judaism, right? This whole thing is confusion. In the 2nd century, thus Herod was of Arab origins, right? Although he practiced, he was a practicing Jew. See, this is all sorts of confusion, and you so-called Christians who don't do any research, you would know that this is all sorts of confusion. You can't be an Edomite and be an Arab and be a Jew. Like, it doesn't make sense. And be a practicing Jew, because to be a Jew is a nationality, not a practicing religion. It's not Judaism. That's who you are. You were born a Judite of the nation of Israel, and Jew is what they call it for short, for Judah. You know what I mean? But they put this guy, Herod, as king over Judah, which is an Edomite. So this says Herod, born South Palestine, was the son of Antipater. So right here, yeah. So again, Herod, born in southern Palestine, was the father of Antipater, an Edomite. Like I said, you are who your father is, whom Julius Caesar, right, dealing with the so-called Romans, which are the Edomites, later appointed procurator of Judea, right? Procurator, right? So let's look up that word, procurator. Yeah, procurator or whatever, however you say that word. Let's see.
Procurator.
Oh, procurator. Okay, sorry. but procurator, right? It said Julius Caesar set him up as a procurator over Judea, or Jerusalem, basically over the Israelites, over Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And then it says what, as definition, it's what, an agent. One that manages another's affairs, agent. So, that's what it is. So there was an elder. Yeah, this is 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 18. Right? 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 18 to 31. I'm not going to go to 31. I'm just going to read, just to the point. And I'm going to close out. It says, Eleazar dies for his faith. There was an elder and highly respected teacher of the law by the name of Eleazar, whose mouth was being forced, right? Esau Edom was forcing him, because this is during the time of the Greeks, and they were forcing him to eat pork, right? Forced open, whose mouth was being forced open to make him eat pork, right? Which is a sin according to the law, right? And the wages of sin is death anyway, right? Technically, right? But he preferred an honorable death rather than a life of disgrace. So he spit out the meat and went willingly to the place of torture, right? Because a lot of you so-called elders, you got what's his name, Martin Luther King for one, Reverend Al Sharpton for one, was Jesse Jackson. These dudes was not honorable teachers. They wasn't honorable elders. You know what I mean? Not in their youth, and not even in their elder days. And of course, Martin Luther King died before he can get elderly, but he wasn't honorable like how he should have been. It was set up from the Rothschilds, right? So, but he preferred an honorable death rather than a life of disgrace. So he spit out the meat and went willingly to the place of torture, showing how people should have courage to refuse unclean food, right? And back in those days, Israel, or the young, should I say, honored their elders. And this was a very profound statement. Not profane, but profound. Not profane like Esau, because you know what I'm saying. But this is a bold statement, and the youth didn't look down on the elder because you were elder. You looked at the elder with respect, like they would look at Michael Jordan, or like how they would look at some of these so-called rap stars or movie stars. You looked at the elders in that type of fashion, right? Not like they're God, but just as a as that, like a bar, like a thing that you're trying to get to, as far as when as you're growing, as you grow, you know what I mean? You know, in a sense, they were, you know, they were famous. You know, in a sense, you know what I mean. But yeah, the youth had respect for the elders, so he had to show how people should have courage to refuse unclean food, even if it cost them their lives. Those in charge of the sacrifice had been friends of Eleazar for a long time, and because of this friendship, they told him privately to bring meat that was lawful for him to eat, and he need only pretend to eat pork. They said in this way he would not be put to death, like somewhat so-called looking out for him as a friend, right? But there's no friend in of mine, or no friend could I ever be with you if you're causing my people to die. You're causing my people to sin, right? Going into the law, because he knows about the law, says, suffer not sin upon a brother. Hate not thy brother in thy heart, and suffer not sin upon him. That's why you not saying something or pretending to eat pork or pretending to be a president or some type of congressman or whatever, but really you're leading your people to the slaughter, is completely just, yeah, disgraceful. Really, it should be very disgraceful. And that's what he was saying. This is what it is, man. He's not finna be disgraceful. You know what I mean? But Eleazar made a decision rather of his gray hair, right? Because you're supposed to honor that gray hair. You know what I mean? And advanced age, all his life he had lived in perfect obedience to God's law, God's holy laws, right? And that's what we're all supposed to strive to do. To be obedient to the Lord, to the Lord's, the Father's holy law through Yahweh Shai now, to the best of our ability, because we can't necessarily do it all the way that we will want to do it, but we can do it to the best of our ability, right? You want to go through the store and make sure everything is cotton, go do it. If you want to, that's something you could do, right? You want to go, make sure you do the Sabbath on the new moon or whatever you want to do it on. Hold the Sabbaths. But we know you can't be completely clean in America, especially when women can go to work or go places when they're on their moon cycle. It's impossible for us to complete the whole law, and we don't have a temple. You can't make sacrifice. It's a lot of array of different things. I mean, when we have the Sabbath or we have the Passover, are you really getting a lamb that's unblemished? I mean, be serious. Even if you got a full whole lamb and you went and took it, do you know what an unblemished lamb look like? Like, we haven't had our customs in such a long time. But let's just get to this. I didn't mean to go into all that, but But Eleazar made a decision rather worthy of his gray hair and advanced age. All his life he had lived in perfect obedience to Yahweh's holy laws. So he replied, "Kill me here and now. Such deception is not worthy of a man of my age," right? And ultimately, that's what it is. Reverend Justin Jackson, Reverend R. Sharpton, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. These are things that they should be doing. But, they're not honorable men, right? And you got a lot of these people that's so-called in Israel that say that they're Israelites, calling the white man the devil, but then you could say you could take the yob and you could do this and you could do that. And you know what I mean? All these different things. The Lord didn't do these miracles, and he didn't do that, and he didn't do that. I mean, it's bizarre, man. But kill me now. Such deception is not worthy of a man of my age. Many young people, this is what I'm saying, young people were watching, and young people honored their elders. Show respect to the elders, right? Held what they elders had to say or what they done in high regards, right? Many young people would think that I had denied my faith. Ooh, see, that's important. It's important for young people to see you not denying your faith. After I was 90 years old. Right? So, basically, what that goes into is, Esau sets up these guys that's basically agents, or they set them up as other presidents and different things like that, and they want them to pretend to be about the people. They want him to pretend to be a, in a sense of, as a metaphor, like they set up Obama. Obama was really a Hamite, but it was set up to deceive our people to think, hey, we finally got one of our people in there, but that was basically like the pretending to eat pork and saying that it's saying that it's pork, but it really was clean food. You know what I mean? That's kind of the same thing, a deception, but they're not thinking about a deception that's not worthy of death. They're thinking of a deception that's worthy of leading you down the wrong path unto the MOTB, leading you down this path until this new world order. So call Loyum Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to the sister Akwaf listed in silence. Shalom, and death to America.